Yeah, young Hope.
Thanks for tuning in to 2K Sports' presentation of the NBA. I'm Damon Bruce. Friday Hoops Fest coming up next. It'll be Darren Williams and the Brooklyn Nets facing off against Danny Granger and the Indiana Pacers. And now let's head out to Indianapolis to join Kevin Harlan for opening tip.
We've got the Brooklyn Nets facing the Indiana Pacers. Well, what better way to spend a Monday night than with the 2K Sports team and the NBA? Welcome, everyone. With Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg, this is Kevin Harlan. Now the starting group for the Brooklyn Nets presented by State Farm. Joe Johnson and Gerald Wallace, the 2 and the 3. Evans is out there with Brook Lopez, and it's Williams at the point. And for the Pacers, George, Granger, and West are 2 through 4. Roy Hibbert is out there with George Hill.
And I think a big change for the Pacers, and one of the reasons they've become one of the better teams in the East, was the addition of David West. You know, he just brought some leadership that was much needed for a very young Pacers roster.
Williams with the ball. Evans left side. That's tipped. And now the fast break. Hill with the ball over Williams. Hill, no good. Here is Williams. Steve, you talk about leadership. You can't overemphasize how big a difference having a vet can be. And the Pacers and David West, that was like a perfect marriage, Clark.
A hand-in-glove fit. West really was the perfect fit for a young, promising, developing team. He's a two-time All-Star. He brings experience and toughness and leadership. And he helped everybody on the team get to the same page, and they ended up having a great season.
And so it's the Nets getting on the board first. Here's Granger. Takes the 12-footer and hits.
You start hitting a few of those mid-range shots, and it can open up your whole game.
It's the Nets now. Left side, Williams. Into Brook Lopez. He's against Hibbert. Puts up the baby hook. And again, it's Brook Lopez. First quarter of play with about a minute and a half gone.
Kind of a bizarre offseason for Brook Lopez. There's so many rumors that he was heading to Orlando in a sign and trade for Dwight Howard. And Lopez ends up just signing with the Nets. The trade fell through. Lopez gets the big extension with Brooklyn, and now he'll be a part of this team for years to come.
On the clock, and it's Hibbert missing. So it's Brooklyn now. Let's go quickly over to Doris Burke for an update.
Guys, I spoke with the head coach of the Pacers. We talked about how they plan to deal with Darren Williams. He said he can do it all offensively. Shoot, drive, and of course, pass. We've got to play aggressive, try to force him towards our help, and take the ball out of his hands as much as possible. Not easy, Kevin. Not one of those things.
All right, Doris. And stolen by Darren Williams. And it's good. Williams has got his second bucket tonight.
4 makes on 4 tries. Everything's falling early. 100%, can't do better than that. And Steve, you brought up Lopez. He got a good deal and has a chance to have his name out of trade talks for a few seasons as he continues to grow as a player. I like what he brings. He's got good hands and a nice shooting touch for a big guy.
The drive by Granger. Lopez with the steal. The pass to Johnson. David West grabs the miss.
That's kind of a shocker. The defense was there, but it wasn't right in his face. Kind of out of character for him to miss those.
Blocked. And that'll be Indiana as it goes out of bounds. Pacers retain possession. Indiana making some changes. Jeff Pendergraph's checking in for Hibbert. Hansbrough comes in for David West. Lance Stevenson subbed in for Danny Granger. The Nets also changing it up. Andre Blatch, he's checked in for Lopez. Humphreys comes in for Reggie Evans. And it's Watson in for Gerald Wallace.
The Nets battled injuries all last year, and as one might expect when that's the case, they had a hard time against the rest of the conference for significant stretches of the season. I like the way they're working the ball inside because when you do that, you get higher percentage shots and typically good things happen.
Hill kicks to Hansbrough. The kick out to Hill. Feeds to Stevenson. It's back to Hill. Deflects the pass. Hansbrough, that's good. Back to the Nets in the East. Steve only won a third of their games, going 16-32, and just isn't going to get you any place you want to be.
Now, it just seemed like last year was like a waiting period for the Nets. You know, they were just kind of biding their time until they could move to Brooklyn. But they're going to have to do much better against the East this year. I mean, it's not a strong conference to start with, but with the talent they've acquired, I think they'll be in a much better position.
Pacers trail by 6. Deron Williams grabs the miss.
You see the defenders get out of his way a lot of times when he's on his way to the bucket, but not that time.
And that one's good.
And a great start offensively.
Yeah, they've come out strong. I mean, really scoring and playing with confidence.
Pendergraft, Blatch defending. Out of bounds. Pacers ball as Indiana keeps possession. Some changes for Indiana. David West is checked in for Pendergraft. Granger comes in for George. And DJ Augustine subbed in for George Hill. The Nets also changing it up. Reggie Evans, he's checked in for Humphries. Wallace comes in for Joe Johnson. And it's Bogans in for C.J. Watson. Outside Williams. Left side Williams. Passes to Blatch. Hammers it home.
Huge advantage for them already.
And as well as they've played at both ends so far, this lead might continue to grow.
And after just 1 quarter of play, a double-digit differential on the scoreboard. Nets out in front. They're up by 10. The second quarter coming up right after this break, so don't go anywhere. And welcome back. It's been all one-sided so far through the first quarter as our second quarter gets underway. And taking a look at the Nets' performance here, Clark and Steve, what do you guys think about what they have or haven't been doing?
How about the shooting so far? It's been a clinic out there. They are lighting it up and really creating open looks for each other.
Well, Steve, there hasn't been much resistance and when they've been on the offensive end, so they've taken advantage of it.
On the court right now, second quarter starting for the Nets. They've got Bogans. Deron Williams out there with Watson. Then it's Blatch. And it's Humphries in at the power forward position. Catching up on the changes now for Indiana. Pendergraft comes in for David West. And it's George in for Danny Granger. And a change for the Nets. Lopez is checked in.
Tough season for Brook Lopez last year, guys. He broke his foot just before the season opener, needed surgery, and missed several months of action. So for a young player looking to take the next step in his progression, that was really a setback.
6 on the shot clock. Pacers with the rebound. Now here is Augustine. Looking for his first bucket of the game. Leaves him in there. And then Hibbert with the dunk.
The defense caught dozing off that time.
Now those open dunks, pretty high percentage.
Yeah, you're not going to miss many of those. I mean, this is really a poor defensive effort.
And Brook Lopez actually only ended up playing 5 games last season after that injury.
Yeah, and for big men, you start talking about foot injuries, that can really be an issue. So hopefully it's behind them. You think about all the extra weight and torque that big guys put on their feet. Let's hope Brook Lopez, an outstanding offensive center, is healthy and as productive as he was his first couple of years going forward.
Catching up on the changes now for Indiana. David West, he's checked in for Hibbert. Hansbrough comes in for Jeff Pendergraft. Danny Granger is checked in for George. And George Hills subbed in for Augustine. And let's catch up with our sideline reporter, Doris Burke. Doris, over to you.
Well, Chris Humphries, prior to last season, became more famous for his life off the court after a short-lived celebrity marriage. Somehow that translated to a lot of boos when he played on the road. But Humphries did a great job of tuning it out and playing well. He said, at the end of the day, it's about coming to the gym and what you do on the court. And I think true basketball people respect guys that no matter what's going on in their life, they approach the game the same way. Focus and play hard. Kevin, not always easy to do.
And credit him for keeping his concentration on his job. Of course, good story. Thanks.
You know, when the Nets made the trade for Darren Williams a few seasons ago, Kevin, they were thought to have made a steal of a deal.
You're right.
But you look at the haul they gave up, and it was a pretty steep price to pay.
The Pacers making a switch here. Augustine's checked in. Keith Bogans, he's checked in for the Nets. And the basket by Johnson.
You know, Kevin, they were a step late on their defensive rotation, and that helped them get right to the rim.
Going back to that trade you're talking about, Clark, several first-round picks and Favors, who has blossomed the last year or two up in Utah. Devin Harris was sent there as well. Not exactly cheap, Steve, but they had to give up a lot.
Well, gaining a superstar is never cheap, Kevin. And I thought the interesting thing about that trade was that New Jersey, now Brooklyn, of course, they didn't have any assurances from Darren Williams that he would re-sign. So it was really a major gamble at the time.
And the Nets with possession here, following the score by Indiana. Wallace against Hansbrough. Wallace, the pass to Blatch, and it's going to be out of bounds. The Pacers will take it.
Difficult to explain that turnover. I mean, I guess he thought he had more room than he did, but he really lost his place on the court.
Some changes for Indiana. Roy Hibbert's checked in for West. Paul George comes in for Tyler Hansbrough. Lance Stevenson subbed in for George Hill. The Nets also changing it up. Brook Lopez is checked in for Blatch. Humphreys comes in for Gerald Wallace. And Darren Williams is subbed in for C.J. Watson.
You know, Hibbert was a guy that you weren't sure if he would pan out as a center in the NBA. He had a nice career at Georgetown, but what he's done is he's developed his game year in and year out. He's gotten better every season. Good footwork, strong body, knows how to use that body to score around the basket.
Yeah, he's got excellent touch and really can use both hands with the jump hook. But what he really does well and where he's really grown the most is on defense. When you see a guy his size blocking shots and you know, that's something he's capable of every trip down.
And it's just impossible to get tired of.
Yeah, there's always this excitement, this aura that surrounds him, guys, and the crowd senses it.
That was a great angle we just saw, courtesy of Sprite. Augustine against Williams. Back to Lopez. How's that for an answer? Right back with the dunk.
The one-handed flush, very nice.
Yeah, nice strong finish there.
Just punched it home.
Here is Augustine. Still looking to get on the scoreboard. And George with the stuff.
He would not be denied on that one, no matter what the defender threw at him.
Yeah, he needed just a little more effort to make that stop.
I don't know. I don't think any amount of effort would have done it. I mean, that guy was flying to the hoop.
George Hill's checked in for Indiana. Shot and game clock separated by 5. Evans outside. Williams covered by Hibbert. Takes the 3. And Darren Williams with the 3. Williams has got 9. George with the ball. 5 points in the game. Outside Hill. Over Williams. No good on that last second attempt there. And a tight game here as we end the first half. Nets lead by 2. Well, folks, stick around here at halftime for the halftime show with Damon Bruce for all the highlights from our first half.
And now, brought to you by Sprint.
Halftime in the Hoosier State in a close one. Welcome, fans. I'm Damon Bruce. Brooklyn up on top against Indiana. Just outstanding efficiency offensively. They're having a field day. It's just that simple. Darren Williams has been outstanding. How's that for a shooting percentage? 100. Yes, 100% from the court. Not too bad. Good overall, also, though, for the Pacers. And defensively, they've done a good job grabbing rebounds, limiting second chances. Some nice plays so far from Tyler Hansbrough. He has 6 points and has been very efficient, converting his shots into points with a nice field goal percentage. That'll be it for the halftime report. The second half is coming right up. Hope to see you next time.
Welcome back, everyone. The second half about to get underway, and it's been a close one so far.
Well, Williams has been great. 9 points. He's gotten a three-pointer to fall for him, too.
Yeah, he's no one-dimensional player, Clark. He can do damage in several ways, including from long range.
A tall bunch of 2, 3, and 4. George Granger and West. George Hill out there with Roy Hibbert. That's the Pacers' 5. It's Williams with the drive.
Right, you look at Frank Vogel of the Pacers. Young guy, a lot of energy, and really emphasizes toughness and kind of a smash-mouth style that his team has really embraced.
Dishes it to George. West setting the pick for George. Puts the lead pass in front of him. He got right to the cup using that screen. West has got his first points of the game.
Nice teamwork there. The pick, freeing up his teammate.
You talk about that tough style that Coach Vogel has emphasized. The Pacers have the size and, Steve, the physicality inside to really deliver on that style of play.
Yeah, they've got a swagger about them, and obviously some talent, too, with guys like Hibbert and David West. So I like the way Vogel has really sort of rubbed off on this team. His personality has become their personality, and they've become one of the better defensive clubs in the league.
It's stolen by Johnson. Evans outside.
How about that basketball, man? Beautiful. Wow. And not much resistance on that jam.
Yeah, defensively, you're right. Not a great sequence.
Well, they lost track of him, and they paid the price.
And that was Sprite bringing you the close-up on that big-time play. Lopez with the steal. Wallace left side.
Oh, are you kidding me? That was a power punch right there.
Oh, great.
He's definitely showing some real sweet dunking skills here.
Are you kidding me? Oh, my gosh. What a play.
Yeah, that was spectacular.
And this is his first trip to the line tonight.
Yeah, that was one spot where they didn't have to worry about him at all. I mean, at the free throw line, he was automatic.
And we're just about 2 minutes into the second half now.
Well, you look back at some of the drafts that the Pacers have had and the pieces they've been able to add. They've done a nice job. Roy Hibbert, of course, Paul George. They've really done a good job of developing talent from the draft and making some shrewd moves that have built the foundation for this club.
Well, I like that he's come up with some big baskets for this team to help him out in getting this lead.
The Pacers have gone 3 of 3 from the field since halftime. Hill against Williams. A shot by West. Shot misses. And Brooklyn will now go the other way with it. They've led by as much as 10. Well, going back to the Pacers, it isn't always easy to build up from the draft if you're not in the top 5. Like Oklahoma City, they've been drafting in the top 5, and their core best players were taken, between 1 and 5, and so they've accelerated so quickly. But they really have made some good choices in Indianapolis. I mean, it's really admirable how they've gone.
They've done a terrific job. Paul George, one of those players that they had their eye on and took, and he was a big part of last year's team, and the Pacers front office really has been on a pretty good roll with draft choices and building this team through the draft.
Granger from outside. Brooklyn with the rebound. Clark, this offense has really been clicking.
No doubt about it, giving the defense all kinds of trouble.
And they're playing with so much energy offensively. The ball is really moving.
Here's Williams. Back to Evans. Puts it up. Dunks hard with one hand.
I like that one-handed spike right there.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
Yes, sirree.
Yeah, he's not going to miss many of those. Man, Darren Williams was really the big name in free agency this past offseason. Ended up coming down to the Nets or Dallas, Dallas being his hometown. But ultimately, Williams decided to stay with the Nets and help get this team started off in their new venue in Brooklyn.
Lopez, a screen on Hill. Williams dishes to Lopez. It's good. Great play by Williams to set it up. 8 points for Brook Lopez.
Came off the screen and did what I call a right now move, right to the rim. The defense had no time to recover.
There's 48 seconds left to play here in the third. The three from George. Good. The assist goes to Hill. Hill's got 3 assists in the game.
Thinking about Darren some more. You know, it's never easy to choose between staying where you are or playing in your hometown. The acquisition of Joe Johnson was a big factor in getting him to stay in Brooklyn. At least that's what I heard.
Baseline jumper. Paul George grabs the miss.
Solid advantage in the rebounding totals for them so far here.
You know, in every game, but particularly in a close game, every little advantage you can use helps, and they're certainly enjoying one on the glass here.
Nets leading by 3. Watson kicks to Johnson. With 1 on the clock, and that one's good. Johnson's got his second basket of the game.
You know, that's a solid shot right there, Kevin. I mean, he's one of the better low-post finishers we'll see.
And that's going to do it for the third quarter. It's the Nets leading by 5. And time to step aside quickly, but we'll be back in no time with the start of the fourth quarter. Here is Watson. So for Brooklyn now, Johnson, Wallace, and Humphries are the 2, 3, and 4 in order. Watch out there with Watson. He dishes it to Johnson. Kicks to Humphries. Here's Hansbrough. Brooklyn with the rebound. Wallace has got 3 rebounds so far in the game. Watson with it. He's picked up by Hill. Watson, the pass to Wallace. The rebound by Hansbrough. Hansbrough's got his 3rd rebound on the night. Granger dishes to George. No good.
Some people might call him vertically challenged, but tell you what, his size didn't hurt him on that rebound.
Granger misses.
Yeah, that's a low percentage shot right there.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, he's got to be thinking out there a little better. Make the pass in that situation. Don't force a bad shot.
Johnson goes in, and good on the basket. Book it. Johnson's got the first basket as we get going in the fourth for the Nets. Pacers trail by 7, and the Pacers call time here.
And Joe Johnson now in his 12th season out of Arkansas. One of the best swingmen in basketball. And of course, he's one of the highest paid players in the league, so I think fans sometimes expect more out of him, but he's still a very solid player.
And now Doris Burke has an update from the sidelines.
Kevin, the head coach for the Pacers, had some instruction for his guys during that break. He told his players, guys, we're letting opportunities slip away in transition. Let's push it up the floor, look to score some points in early offense. Kevin, can they pick up the tempo?
Here's Williams. It's blocked. Now the Pacers moving it up. George with the ball, and the stuff by West.
Great hustle to turn the block shot into a fast break hoop. That's a big-time play.
And for players with the big contracts, there's always that added pressure, you know, guys, to live up to it. And Clark, that's a tough thing to do sometimes. Yeah,
you said a mouthful there, Kevin. It's so true. Sometimes guys strike the contract lottery and end up being pressured to live up to that. And in Joe Johnson's case, there's some fans that feel as though he's not been a franchise-type player. But for my money, he's as good a player as there is at creating his own shot, handling his business, and being a guy who can perform in the clutch. I think he's an outstanding all-around basketball player, especially at the offensive end.
And the fadeaway was about his only option there. Really good defensive position.
Lopez jams it with authority.
That was a nice, strong one-hand jam there.
Yeah, brought it back and ripped it down.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's nice.
And over 2.5 minutes in the books here in the fourth. Left side, George. Pass to Hibbert. And he drops it in from the low post. Now a timeout call by Brooklyn.
He did not look too happy about some of the things he saw on the court. So I would expect some changes here.
I think it's the right move, quite honestly. I mean, they just didn't look sharp or at their best out there. So take the time out and give yourself a chance to regroup.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Hill against Williams. Right side, Williams. Clock at 6. And he was fouled on the way up. 2 free throws now for him. First free throw is good, and that increases their lead to 6. Gerald Wallace, he's checked in for C.J. Watson. And so he drops them both. It's a 7-point game.
Boy, solid. Those are important free throws, guys. Give them a little cushion for that lead.
Lopez with the steal. Here we go, one-on-one. And it's Williams. That time the assist by Lopez. 17 points for Darren Williams.
That's grace over power, guys. With that finger roll, gets him 2 points. Impressive stuff.
The drive by Granger over Wallace. Hill kicks it to West. Good, the assist goes to Hill. Hill's got his 4th assist in this one.
No question about it, guys. He's been one of their best performers today.
Over 3.5 minutes through the final quarter now. Williams gets a screen from Evans. 6 to shoot. Lets it go from 14. Hill with some nice D. Pacers trail by 7.
That's going to be tough here, Clark.
You know, I agree with you, Steve. I mean, they need some big plays to steal this one.
And it's Hibbert missing. Second chance shot. Connects! Oh, and that cuts the lead to just 5. 59 seconds left to play in the final quarter. Now Williams. Evans, a screen on Hill. Williams against Hill. From the arc. And Darren Williams with the 3.
They're looking good here, adding to this lead.
Yeah, you know, time winding down here, the score and the clock clearly in their favor.
George passes to West. Granger outside. The feed now to Hill. Some nice passing here by Indiana. And stolen by Darren Williams. To the middle. Lays out. And it's going to be out of bounds. The Nets will retain possession. Some changes for Indiana. Hansbrough comes in for David West. And DJ Augustine subbed in for Paul George. And the Nets also making a change. C.J. Watson, he's checked in for Joe Johnson. Evans, Hansbrough defending. Evans kicks to Watson. Shot clock at 6. They get a hand on it. Fades away. Wallace misses. Heaves it up. No good. And so it's Brooklyn with the win. They came, they saw, they conquered.
Hey, Kevin, to me, any win is a good win.
Well, it's time to say so long. For Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke, this is Kevin Harlan along with our 2K Sports crew, thanking you for tuning in. Now it's time to present our Jordan Player of the Game, Darren Williams.